Second game of today is going to be one that doesn't matter a lot, or at least anything to the standings right now. MNM versus Singularity. So this is an interesting one because for the first time, Singularity are the favorites. I mean, they're looking really good. They're actually looking really good.
It's a weird world when we're saying that SNG are the favorites in an NLC game, but that's where we're at right now. And I think, obviously, MNM have a bunch of their own issues to fix before relegations. So do SNG still, right? Despite, you know, looking a lot stronger, I think it's still safe to say that they do have their own problems still that need to be fixed, sometimes early lane. But I think for them, looking revitalized, and that's a really, really big step when you think about the course of this year, the story of the organization and the team. You know, if you are a follower of Division 2, people are like, okay, SNG, easy pickings if we're like some of the top teams, which gonna like dump them. Now, it doesn't really look like that. I think now what we actually have to focus on is more about MNM and how they're actually gonna look moving into relegations. These final 2 games for them are gonna be huge because I think their roster is locked, if I recall correctly. I can't remember how the roster change rules work for MNM, yeah, moving into relegations, but I think they can't make any more changes. This is the roster, I believe, that has to go.
It is swapped today. I think they brought in a sub, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Yeah, but either way, I think whatever happens with this MNM, they've got to fix a lot of these, I don't know, like, it's hard to even say problems because it more to me screams inconsistency because we've seen these guys contest, you know, top 2 teams and then look like they're going to lose to SNG. So, I don't know. It's a very weird, you know, biscuit tin to open and look and digest. But for me, I think it's just going to start from mid-jungle. I think when you have such an experienced mid-jungle duo, that's where you have to try and get a lot of your, you know, early resources from and then see what they can get done with it. Soft and Chimera have usually been quite consistently sort of middle-ish of the pack. Seeing them struggle in the bottom 2 situation is not necessarily something that we've seen very frequently. But I think for me, that's where a lot of the you know, potential comeback for them has to start from.
Obvious. Now let's look into Singularity as well. Scroody, he plays Lilia like no one does. And even if they take away the Lilia, we talked about this in the previous game, on the pre-show. He has a lot of AP champions right now to play.
Yeah, presumably if you play the Lilia, you would play the other AP junglers too, because you know, like when you're picking the Lilia, your mid laner or your team is opening it up for you with those AD picks. So you would assume the same thing for these picks. Whether we'll see the Fiddlesticks or Evelyn, probably not. But the hope is there for sure. But there's a good chance we see the Lilia again, and Scroody has been really popping off on it, also on the Xin Zhao. I'm just hoping that they keep drafting like they have, where they really set him up for success.
I would say this is a game where it's going to showcase Division 2 teams what they can expect as we go into relegations, because these 2 teams are locked in for relegations. It's MNM versus Singularity time. Hit the buzzer. Let's get the champion select rolling for you guys for the second game of the day of the last week for NLC Summer Split 2022. Looking into the bans, will we look for the Lilia? Yeah, we're looking for the Lilia. We hope for the Lilia right now.
Or a Yuumi as well.
Oh, I would love that to happen.
Last time that seemed pretty good for Singularity. That seems like it plays right into their wheelhouse.
She's gone. Lilia's gone. Tariq is well.
Eric.
There you go. By the way, we need to... Oh, they have a new head coach. MNM, as you can see, Sicko is on the new head coach, while Krakal, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be the new sub for today.
I mean, having a coach come in as a player, we've seen that before. Usually doesn't pan out too well, but we'll see. I do know Karakal Jr. is a tech player. I actually faced him in solo queue recently playing the Tariq. I did lose.
Okay.
So the ban is justified. Ban is justified. I do love the bans from MNM here. Removing all these supportive picks in the bot lane to really set up Scroody for success. Like you have the Yuumi and the Senegon. So far so good.
I'd say to me the biggest standout here is that Poppy is up and available, and I think it's going to be a pretty big tell whether or not MNM prioritize it over something like the Zeri. It seems like Zeri is their pick to go into this B1. So SNG, they have the opportunity to pick up, you know, what is considered by many the strongest jungler on the patch right now, the Poppy, or they could go towards something else. You know, a little more explosive. Mirza does pick up the Lucian quite frequently, so we could see, you know, AP jungler plus Lucian just on an open rotation straight away, or they could just try and match the bottom lane from the get-go. I think the options are pretty plentiful, but it's more about what SNG feel like they want to go into this draft with. The Diana immediately says to me, okay, Scroody, AP jungler, we know that. Do they want to go with the Yasuo straight away? Because MNM technically could pick it away. It's just more about whether or not SNG believe that MNM are actually capable of doing that, and whether or not they would just rather go for an AD match straight away to not show any of their cards to it.
Nautilus also pretty likely here, I feel like. Otherwise, I feel like MNM just take it away. And Ashe, okay. Pretty good pick into the Zeri. Obviously limits her mobility a lot. The W slow is actually pretty disturbing. How much it slows, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy when you, especially when you play it as support with all the CDR, but even as an AD carry, it's really strong into the Zeri. So I like that, but that just opens up, like, I feel like the Nautilus is a good pick here into the picks that Singularity is showing so far.
And it's a good flex. You still don't know where the Ashe is going to be landed, but one that doesn't care about the slows, it's Olaf, which is another flex right now. It could go top, it could go jungle. We've seen it on both roles so far. So it's another pick for MNM. If they don't want to reveal anything, maybe look into the support and fight this Ashe.
Yeah.
Nautilus is open.
I think, like you say, the Nautilus, pretty good pick here. You have the Olaf, try and go for a little more setup. You know, on top of that, seems like the Gnar blind is going to be what's the port of call, and I kind of get it. It's one of the strongest picks on the patch, so not too surprised there. But Olaf is a soft special of old, right? I mean, it's before the rework. What you would remember soft for playing quite frequently in a sort of season 11 was actually that Olaf. So very happy to see him on it. We'll see whether or not he gets sort of a facilitating, you know, enchanter maybe mid lane to sort of buff up the Olaf, whether or not that's something that MNM want to play into. Swain though picked up here for SNG, and this technically kind of a flex pick, right?
It is.
See it. When it's something like the Ashe as well, I could maybe see this going into either like the support or the AD slot and vice versa, because we've seen Ashe support a fair amount, but a lot of space that can be provided. That's the key thing from both of these champions. It's about how SNG want to actually build around the rest of this comp. If they want to go for more dive, or when they want to go for more a stand your ground kind of composition, we'll have to see, because right now MNM definitely teetering towards a slightly more aggressive team composition with the Olaf and Gnar.
I mean, this is what we saw from them last time when they beat JDXL. The Swain into these heavy melee comps, and you see Olaf, you see Zeri, you see Gnar. Go Swain again. It worked last time, why would it not work this time?
So making you pick when you really want to fight. You have the Ashe, you have the Swain, so you're making it difficult to go into that team, and also allowing Mirza to go AD regardless of whatever is picked now. He can go for an AD in the mid lane. It could be the Yasuo, as you mentioned, but also could be the Lucian.
Yeah, they're gonna go towards the Rakan here though, so now they actually have, you know, not gonna say full-on engage, but like Rakan typically wants to embolden another engager and back up that engage, and Diana can definitely now play as more of a primary engager and have the Rakan follow up. I actually reckon the Swain might be going top towards the Gnar matchup, actually, now that I think about it, because I've seen this matchup played once or twice, and it didn't look particularly pleasant in lane for the Gnar, so we'll see whether or not this is actually a Sips pick as opposed to a Mirza pick, because it definitely screams that to me a little bit more. And on the opposite side now, Victor is what gets picked up for Chimera. Very safe, very stable mid laner. It's not one that we've seen very frequently recently, because to me it feels like he's kind of fallen out of meta in favor of things like Corki and the Azir, but it's definitely something that Chimera has played for many years now, and we asked whether or not we'll get an enchanter with this Olaf. It looks like the answer is yes, we will get the Karma.
But now, like, I feel like SNG needs an AD champion.
Yeah.
They need, so if they want to put the Swain top, they would need to go for something like a Yone.
You have the Yone, you have the Yasuo.
Yasuo is still open.
Yeah.
Persamamen. You know,
Like,
this is over for, you know? This is it. Okay, there you go. Ooh, Jace. So Swain is going to jump into the mid lane apparently, and the Jace is going to the top. What is your take on this one? Is this the spiciness you were looking for, or is this stable?
it's a bit spicy to bust out the Jace. Obviously, it fell out of favor when people realized that the Gnar just in general is a more consistent pick, so to say. The Jace requires attention. It requires not falling behind. Otherwise, it falls out of favor very fast. And also with the comp that Singularity has, once Jace falls behind, he's just going to get run down in teamfights with the Karma Olaf and the Zeri as well. So it's a bit scary. Hopefully they can play towards the top side and make this work.
Jamana, we're done with the champion select. I want to know your final takes, and who do you think is going to take this from these two teams?
I'm going to go with SNG. I think that they have the better lane matchups. I think that their team fighting looks a little bit scarier. I will say, though, if Mishigu is unlocked in some of these team fights, maybe there's a shot for MNM here, but I think there's enough lockdown to keep him in place. I'm looking towards SNG, and I think they just have all of the agency. I think they kind of outscale a little bit. They have the poke, they have the range engage, non-committal. I'm looking towards them.
And there's the swap as Jace is going for the mid lane Swain top. Interesting take. Who do you think is going to take it?
I'm thinking MNM actually.
Oh, so finally we get some divergence on the desk. So Jamada is going for Singularity, and Obvious is going for MNS. It's obvious that we jump into the chat. Oh, I had to do it. I'm so sorry. We're jumping into the caster's desk. Initial has in trouble. Tell me, who do you think is going to win?
It's an interesting one.
Well, I hope Zoe wins.
She's not. I mean, Zeri is kind of not dissimilar with funky hair and like anime
I hope
kind of
Zoe
vibes.
wins.
But
This is all goofy and silly. Just leave it.
I'm gonna leave that where it is. We'll come back to that when Zoe is perhaps here, as trouble continues with that little bit of copy pasta live on air, and I'm getting more and more scared as we head on to the Rift. Thank you, production, for saving me. But yes, let's all hope Zoe wins in our solo queue games, and
Have
hopefully
more
on
of
teams.
these.
Yeah, I'm sure
You know the one where you use like the player's names and you're like, I know this guy.
I can call him this because I know him, right? We're tight like that. Yeah.
He's cracked and jacked. In fact,
If you start calling players your little pog champs, I'm gonna get really scared then. All right, checking in here. It's worth noting Merza has gone for this Jace mid. It's that Swain top, a little bit of wildness going on there. Also worth pointing out here before we go any further, I just want to leave, there is a couple little stakes here. Not huge ones, because both these are going to relegations regardless, but if Singularity win this game, they tie up in game score with them. They will have had a one-to-one head-to-head, and because Singularity will have had more wins in the second half of the split
Who would have thought?
than MNM, Singularity would actually take ninth place, as I lisp my way to saying, a better position than we would have expected towards the beginning of the split. Still lots to do here. Still got to win the game, but just worth keeping in mind there.
Sure. And I actually really like the last second swap as well between Sips and Merza on the Jace
Tell
and
me on it.
Swain. So whenever you're running AP jungler, a really fancy AD mid, and the fact that Jace does have a pretty good push as well, giving a little bit of priority, can put that pressure into the map. I think AD and AP, when you mix them together as a duo in the river, can do a lot for your team, that mixed damage coming through. Now, of course, MNM are going to take red buff away, as the two junglers are going to be split across the map. Now, of course, this thing happening. Thank you for the
beautiful
new
production.
Thank you for the new fancy screen production. Scroody right here actually second-guessed himself, tried to go for the blue side invade of Soft's jungle, but instead he's going to choose to go towards his Krugs, potentially towards that red buff, and then continue towards top side. Now, of course, with Olaf, and whenever you're playing Olaf, you need at least 1 to 2 priority lanes where you can go through, that they can set up for you, so you can bleed your pressure, because you're going to be playing in the jungle with 1 HP. So if you do get invaded...
It's a sad time for all
It's a
involved.
sad time. It's a Pepe cry. Pepe hands, rather. I forgot my memes.
You've gone through a few of them already, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time.
That was copy pastas.
Okay, fine. Though our copy pastas are kind of mean.
True. I meant emote, but
I'm there.
it's been a long day, man.
It's been a long day.
Wait,
Second game, it's already a long
game.
day. Soft, though, isn't going to try and do the blue to blue, that kind of like cross map, like the diagonal cross map will be spotted out by that hawk shot as well. So Scroody, having cleaned out his own red side, will be spotted out on this ward going into the blue buff, but will secure it nonetheless. Olaf won't be able to get over here, but you can see Chimera's going to try and roam over and see whether he can make this one more difficult than it should be.
Yeah, now very importantly, Scroody has to has to smite that blue buff, meaning that when he goes for any scuttle crab, he will not have the smite for it. Luckily for him, Sips is going to move down with the Swain, who's going to provide some sort of CC to remove the shield from the scuttle crab, so you're not going to need any smiting, as Mishigu is going to retreat back out of the tower.
Also want to call out a little bit there, Soft did his Raptors and then went straight across to his blue side to secure the Wolves in the Gromp and prevent any additional re-invade opportunities for Scroody, as Camera did go over, of course, and chase Scroody out of the jungle there a little bit as well. So shout that out.
Very importantly, they know that Soft does not have his red buff on him.
True.
So with a little bit of priority on the map, you can actually try to pull and invade onto the Olaf. As you can see on the map right now, Chimera has not backed. Merza just went back, bought items, and he's heading towards that mid lane. Could potentially pull in an invade, but Bot lane from Singularity are most likely going to reset right now, and Mirza does not have to necessarily blow his teleport for that one. So everyone's going to go back to their jungle. Happy game.
Indeed, and Scroody just literally turns up to his own blue side jungle as his wolves respawn, so still manages to keep a relatively okay path alive to him. Or, of course, still be a discrepancy when the two quadrants of the jungle are desynced. But either way, for now, feeling okay with how this has turned out.
That's just fun to mention right here because we're talking about in Vixen bans. When there is always a coach stepping in a team
Yes.
as a support,
Yes.
it's always the damn karma that shows up, man.
Okay, slight lie. DFM 2021 were playing with their coach Kazu in place of
Okay.
Gang in the spring when they went to the MSI.
Did he play Nautilus or
No, he
Karma?
wasn't. He was a massive Rel, Gragas, and
Okay.
Set. What was this? A little bit of Set, something else.
You know what? Respect.
Yeah, I mean, there was one other one. Maybe it was Nautilus. No, it wasn't Nautilus. It was something else. One of the other
It's
champions.
usually the
Alistair.
Nautilus. It's usually the Nautilus or Karma that will come out of a coach stepping in.
No. He was full, hard engaged. There will be no way out. I go in or I die. It was very entertaining.
Or are going and die.
Yes, there was a bit of that too. Quite impressive, really. They did so well at MSI because they were playing with this sort of like psychopath coach support, all things said and done. But Caracal, as you said, has gone towards this Karma, allows for some lane pressure. And again, as you said, Karma, not necessarily the most mechanically brutal of champions. You can play a bit more cerebrally and, not have to worry so much about getting the right buttons pressed in exactly the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, since we're talking about compositions to champions, Scroody has chosen yet another AP jungler to add to his kit. It seems like he's evolving into MC number 2 in the NLC, having the Diana and the Lilia as his champions of choice. He's going to choose to step back into this river. But my only question mark here is that usually when you pick a Diana, you do want another champion that's going to dive into the backline with you, be it a Tryndamere, a Camille, a Yasuo, a Yone, any of these types of champions. As we're saying, that Sips.
Trading out pretty well, but Caleb might well be winning this one. Forces a flash away from the crunch, and Caleb just gets the 1v1. In the mid lane, Scroody taken very low, goes down to Soft, and MNM puts Singularity to the sword in 2 lanes at once.
Yeah, all across the board, MNM kills, top lane, solo kill for Caleb, takes Sips, flash and ultimate. In the mid lane, Scroody also has the flash away and ends up dying. Really good stuff right there from MNM, cross-mapping all across the board. And again, to me, Scroody on this Diana feels a little bit lonely because he dives in. Who does he dive in with? Who does he wombo combo with? Ashe, a little bit more of a utility AD carry, not so much of a burst, high damage, constant on the bot side of the map. The same with Swain, usually picking for some sustained damage and zone control, but right here Scroody walks in without any vision. Sof is there, ready to capitalize onto that mistake. Himer has just hit level 6 as well, and we all know how much more potent and powerful is level 6 from Victor, now that you get the ultimate, rather than, of course, the Jace.
Absolutely, and Scroody a little bit greedy there with the flash. Thought he'd be able to walk through the gravity field and definitely could not, and does die there, and does leave MNM with a pretty solid early game gold lead and advantage right now. Of course, as you said, still some room to go, and there's not the best wombo combo, but a J Shock Blast and a Swain and Diana together, that's not bad AoE. It's just not as extravagant as a Yasuo backing you up for it.
A Yasuo or a Yone. That
Yeah, would have been the trick perhaps, but either way.
Talking about MNM
Yes.
taking control in the early game, we used to praise MNM for knowing what kind of plan they would go into the game with and executing that plan. Whether it went right or wrong, they had the right idea of what and where they wanted to play for with their compositions. Now, we're talking about an MNM that's going straight into relegations, but if you look at halfway through the split, that was an MNM that almost took 3 games out of top 4 teams in the league. We're talking about a team that we thought they were punching above their own weight, and they were doing pretty well.
Yeah,
so
at least for half a game they were doing very well. The other half was a little bit more questionable, but we definitely had parts of those games, parts of those weeks where we went, this team could well be a bit of a dark horse if they can clean things up. Things unfortunately fell apart a little bit for them over more recent weeks, but either way, this game looks like a bit of a return to form for them, and potentially quite necessary timing as well, considering what is looming for them on the horizon. Herald is secure, but Scroody right now off vision, maybe looking for an angle in onto Caleb.
You look at that person has left bot lane as well. There is not much threat for Ash to die with a Karma and Zeri bot lane. But
There we go. That is a fabulous moonfall to pull Caleb out of the hop, gets the flash, and they drag back with a never move, meaning Caleb will be never moving anymore in death.
Yeah.
Mercer gets stunned in the mid lane, but that'll just be a trade back with the Chaos Storm, and I think he'll be able to walk his way out with the speed up with the form change. Trouble, now you can speak.
Yeah, you put some poke down on the Jace. Meanwhile, you clear the wave as
Yeah,
well.
you're right.
The ultimate going past all the minions. Now, Spiky is under a lot of pressure, which means that Mercer has to make his way towards the bottom of the map to make sure that Spiky is safe. But yet again, Zeri and Karma don't necessarily want to be diving. You usually just want to be shoving in waves after waves and just giving priority over to your Olaf. Saying that Olaf over in the mid lane helping Chimera very close to like securing that first tower plating in the mid lane. Now, eyes on person, level 6, sorry, onto that Rakan, has secured that ultimate. Let's see where he's gonna choose to use it first. All flashes up for the set of MNM apart from the tops of the map. Caleb just lost his. Soph's gonna get spotted on the ward right here. So let's see if there's gonna be a comeback towards the top side of the map for Singularity to capitalize on a flashless now.
And ships in the night, person plays Secret Agent here, gets wards in without soft knowledge. Still the red with the Gleaming Quill. 3 wards in, none the wiser, steals the red buff and soft.
Thanks for the leash.
Daylight robbery.
Thanks for the leash.
No! Gets a little bit of a ghost out of soft here as well. Scroody punishing even more. This Olaf, that is bullying and he doesn't even know it at this point.
Yeah, off your screens as well, Person had just charged his ultimate. He really wanted to go in onto that Olaf, but of course, Soph with the ultimate, unCCable right there, would have been very unlikely that they would get the kill on the Olaf. So Person's ultimate is gonna go off cooldown right now, and he's gonna, on cooldown, sorry, and he's gonna have to wait for it, almost halfway through already. And we expected a little bit of a bloodbath right here, because again, this game doesn't necessarily mean anything. Both teams are going to be getting relegated. So we're expecting a few, fun picks, maybe a little bit of an early bloodbath.
Something a bit more experimental, perhaps.
Screwed it with the top side of the map. Caleb in Minina form.
And I suppose in some ways there is a bit of experimentation going on. It's Scroody finding another gank into this top side. This duo has been bullying this Gnar. Death's Hand secures Caleb's life. Mid lane, though, MNM will finally summon the Herald. Mercer will try and clear out best he can, but this is looking like at least 4 plates down here. Person will come down and try and prevent too much more going along. And they'll finally stop that charge going through, but still some gold back in MNM's pocket, and pretty necessary considering the last few plays have been a little bit more Singularity favored, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, but if you look at MNM, they have been banking a lot of that gold into the mid lane, making sure that you get that early, probably Luden's Echo, I'm going to assume, coming in from Chimera. Yeah, it is going to be the case. Making sure that you poke these members out of fights. Diana, Jace, Ash, Rakan, very squishy. You hit them with one laser and Luden's Echo, you take a big chunk of their HP, you push them out of the river, a river, which by the way has just spawned the second dragon off the game. Chimera.
A long, long way, and Scroody's coming in behind, doesn't have the Moonfall, but can still dive in. Crescent Blade and the Lunar Rush come down, but nothing too much more pop. We'll force him away from the tower for now and give Mercer a chance to reset. Actually had to flash there because he took so much damage. That will give MNM free reign and license to start up this Drake.
And again, you start chipping away at these HP bars. This is why Victor was so prominent in the previous season as well, right? The fact that you could poke people away from fights, the fact that you could push them away from choke points, all this AoE damage that this champion can provide, the heavy shove in the middle, the priority he gives you are very key components if you want to get all these early game objectives. The priority, the push, the poke, the heavy AoE damage when somebody walks into your lasers. Very important. And right here, Chimera is also ahead of the clock, has got his Luden's Echo. So many tire platings have gone his way. Now all he needs to provide his team with is damage.
Absolutely. Let's check in a little bit with some of our friends at home as well. Some of these NLC memes, a fate worse than death, says Pivotless, me queuing for a rank game. Patch 12.13 Master Yi. Yeah, that was hot fixed real fast.
Yeah.
Never mind the memes right now. This is looking more like action. But Mishigu, with the cleanse and the flash, does get out of dodge. And Zeri, also still pretty deadly, despite some nerfs to her.
Sure.
And was it 12 changes in 3 patches? Something mad like that?
Yeah, but that was 2 ultimates only for 2 summoner spells for the set of Zeri. So that's really nice, very worth it for the set of Singularity. Now they need to make sure that they capitalize on that Zeri having no summoners, because the flash will not be up in 3 minutes and 48 seconds that the next dragon will be, and MNM definitely definitely want to be banking on that soul point. He's going to be an Infernal Dragon, so strong and potent for the team fights, especially when you have a Victor that wants to be poking away, a Zeri that wants to be poking away, having that extra damage from the Infernal Soul is going to be huge and very problematic for Singularity to deal with.
Absolutely.
Spiky.
Doing quite a lot of work here. The slows coming through, doing a lot of the volleys. Managed to chuck Mishigu out to about 200 HP. Now though, Soft in a spot of bother. Needs to be a little afraid as this blue buff invade comes through. Scroody gets in with the Lunar Rush. Soft gonna throw down his own ultimate in trade. Guz gonna get chunked very low, falls down. Merza secures that one. No, I apologize, it's Sips actually. And now he's going to demonically ascend. Scroody finally falls after a flash wall, but Kemra will likely trade his life for it. Caleb nearly at Mega Gnar, trying to run at Merza, who is playing out with the blast guns best he can. Caracal goes in, gonna get the renewal route. Boulder toss afterwards, gonna leave Merza in a difficult position, but a knock up forces that one back. Merza's still just about alive, has got himself a bush, staying alive best he can. Boulder goes wide, and Merza dips, ducks, dodges even more, but takes a tower shot! No! Caleb dodges out for the grand entrance and the quickness not going to quite connect either. The boomerang gets this one. And somehow MNM come out on top. I have no idea what just happened.
Now, that's the fiesta I signed up for when I went to do that MNM versus Singularity game. It's teams having fun, playing, literally throwing fists at each other. And right here, Soft literally takes all the ultimates away from Singularity. Diana ult is going to drop on an ulted Olaf. Rakan ult is going to drop on an ulted Olaf. And they try to bounce up all of that CC. But Soft dies very late, and by the time that Sips is in the fight, Chimera has already killed his jungler as well. At some point, the Swain is going to lose the ultimate, and when Caleb goes Mega Gnar, they turn it onto Merza together with Caracal, and here comes the music that...
Welcome to the Moulin Rouge, one and all. Merza definitely try to use his dancing skills here to get out of dodge, but... steps a little too close to the tower range there. That one is going to get him mocked by his teammates.
I can feel the person being like, tower, 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 tower.
Like he'd done everything right up until that point. Merza played so well and then fails at the dumbest last hurdle. That's a frustrating one. Soft picks up the second herald of the game here. They do have 2 dragons as well, so MNM do have that to their name in particular, even if the gold is even. It's been an entertaining back and forth so far.
It's been a very heavy favored game.
Yes.
If you look at Caleb, 3, 2, and 1. He's been 4 out of 5 kills. If you look at Sips, 4, 1, and 0. He's been in 100%.
He's got all of the kills.
He's got all of the kills. He's been a part of all of them. And he has cashed in on all of them as well. This Swain is going to be an absolute menace on the Rift, especially when he finishes his Rylai's as well, which he's very, very close to.
Is that going to be a Rylai's, or is that going to be a demonic embrace?
I think it's going to have to be a Rylai's, having Na walking into you, also Victor, if you're playing on top of Victor and you're providing that frontline sort of space-making machine for your team.
Got to keep our eyes a little bit on that top left corner as well. So I've been having a lot of fun and having our giggles at some of these ridiculous fights. It is about 15 seconds now until the Infernal Dragon. This would be sole point for MNM. And it means Scroody is looking to make sure they get the initial kill. Kemra stays alive though, and Scroody will be traded out looking for the kill. Finally the teleports come through, but it's going to be a little too late. Tower comes down and prevents a teleport in. Leaves Sip stuck back in base, and in no man's land, MNM come heavily out on top in that fight.
No, that's your most fed person, sat in base, presses his F button, never makes it into the fight. That's a complete disaster from Singularity. And again, Scroody dives in with the Diana. There is no follow-up. That particular composition doesn't have any follow-up to dive in to provide that heavy burst together with the Diana into the backline. The second Merza overextends, he gets caught. Scroody's damage is not enough at this point, just with the Rocket Belt, and MNM are kind of running away with the early game. 8 kills to the name, 4,000 gold lead, 3 Dragon, only 1 away from Soul. It's going to be an Infernal as well. It's going to hurt a lot. Also, let's mention, scaling goes their way. Zeri, one of the most powerful late game AD carries in the game. Victor, so annoying to deal with, 3 to 4 items as well. Singularity are going to find it really difficult to come back in this game.
Yeah, and you know, shout out to Kemra as well. Like, when you think of this player, the things he's most comfortable on are those control mages. He is infamous for his Anivia. That's the champion that he's kind of was synonymous with for a long, long time. And we've seen this guy On the Swain, this split looked very dangerous. On the Victor, looking very good as well. And this feels like a real comfort option for the team. And he's playing very well thus far. Survived that engage, even if it was relatively close. Turns out exhaust plus some shields from Karma can make sure that Diana's life is even more difficult. There is the Rhyalize second for the Swain as well. So correct call on that one, which is no surprise really, considering how Swain's building at the minute. But nonetheless, is now in. Maybe that will change how things play out for the next fight. But MNM at Soul Point, with the gold lead, particularly after that last fight, and with that scaling advantage, feeling very comfortable in this game now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're also very close to your second item onto this area. The second that one is completed, you're going to be feeling much more comfortable playing these fights. Nar is also going towards a Deadman's, if I'm not wrong, on this one.
Yes, I think, it could, I suppose, is there a world where that's a Wit's End with a Negaton?
Also be a Wit's End?
I don't. I mean, he's got the dawn plate things. I forget what that particular.
It's some kind of trousers.
Yeah, it's like the things you put around your waist to be like. On
of course, I wear them every day.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I've not seen without your armor.
Almost disintegrates right
Yeah,
there.
person having a very bad time with those death rays. Has to burn the quickness to escape. Scroody had to flash as well. And Camera, definitely a deadly force on the Rift at this point. Ow.
Yeah, I think he's also going for something like Shadow Flame second.
Yes.
The shields coming in from Diana and Rakan are going to make it so much easier for the Victor to get that magic pen and just one shot. Something like a Rakan, something like that, like the Jace.
Looking like he's in a difficult position here. 4 members coming up to his tier 1. Teleport's going through, throwing that demonic exemption down. The Rhyalize doing a lot of work, tanking up what he can. Still alive, and now the turnaround. So strong, and Kemera goes down. What more can Merza get done? To the skies he goes, and Mishigu, though, trading back with the burst fire, gets that one. They get the knock up, but is there a follow-up? Not realistic, right? Scroody into the backside. The moonfall comes down on the soft, but no kill quite yet. The exhaust doing what it can. Scroody does finally get that kill. Caracal into the backside. Gonna try and fall down, but the renewal roots Scroody in place, but a Crescent Blade secures that one. Burst fire coming through, stopwatch going down. Mishigu trying to take this up best he can. Does stay alive. Will not be Lunar Rush to death. Sips on the side trying to get in close enough. And a Death's Hand secures the Zeri. An ace for Singularity.
MNM overextends, and an arrow from downtown, baby, stops Chimera dead in his tracks underneath the tower. And the second Singularity can catch MNM one by one. This is where they have the advantage. The slows coming in from the Swain, the slows coming in from the Ass, as we watched again. Person also played this to absolute perfection. 6-1 versus 4. Look on your maps right now. The arrow is incoming and gets Chimera.
Fantastic.
The fact that Chimera cannot get any damage done at this point is so important because he's the most fed member of MNM. The second they get him out of the way, Merz, as you will see here, overextends as well. But the second they get him out of the way, Person with a 2-man knockup keeps people at bay. Then you'll see again when he goes in to shield, he gets out. Caleb tries to ult him. He predicts the flash with the knockup and stops Caleb dead in his tracks, which gives the allowance to Spiky to chase down the Mega Knight and Mishigu, even though he tried his best.
Oh my days, he was inches away from getting everybody there.
Yeah, and we've seen Mishigu like 1vx a bunch of times because most of the times his team is kind of dead, let's be honest.
A little bit of that, but he's been phenomenal, really. For a guy in a lower place team, Mishigu has been a bit of a revelation. Eyes on camera as well. That's not a Shadow Flame. That's going to be a straight death cap he's building towards here.
You know what? I saw the small amplifying dome and I'm like,
That's just AP in inventory is what he's gone for. Just like, give me more numbers.
More.
Soft does have to burn the Ragnarok. I don't know whether it's quite the end of days yet, though. Just some low health bars. Caleb nearly at Mega. In goes Scroody. Gets a lot of damage, but is now very low. Mishigu and Camera unload. And Zip's about to fall. Demonic Ascension keeps him alive. Mishigu finally shuts him down. Can't quite take the kill on the AD carry until just now. And it's 3 for 3. Utter scenes in the mid lane. Shot blast just wide.
Spiky keeps slowing people down together with Sips, and even though MNM feel like they have the upper hand in these fights, the slows that keep permanently coming through, even when they've killed the Swain, Spiky keeps getting them slowed down. They just cannot reach the targets. The range from the Singularity lineup is coming through here. Chimera, of course, has gone back. Maybe he's got his death cap at this point, only Spike and Mercer. The poke is really gonna hurt if it lands.
Somewhere out there, Michael Bay is smiling in approval at the cinematic scenes we're witnessing in this game. It's been 25 kills in 23 minutes. I'm very pleased
like
to see
those.
this. It's been a fun one so far, and with the teleport coming in for what would be a soul fight, Singularity are looking to take this away, and M&M don't want to give them the option.
Sof is around, he does have the blast gun, he can just hit that and get straight into the pit. It's a 50-50.
He's in. It's a 50-50. Soft, no, has just got his ultimate up, just get stunned. Going to be down to that 50-50. Dragon down to 2,000 HP. Dragon secured by Scroody. However, Ash has already been killed on the other side of 4v5. Make that another, as Scroody is felled. But Caracol and Camera on the wrong side of the rift, trying to get jumped down. The Ultra Shock laser trades it back, though, and M&M will take everybody's life in trade for that Dragon.
Yeah, that Dragon was not worth it from Singularity. They had to fight to make sure they secure it away from MNM because that would have been soul for them. But instead, MNM are going to be getting the Baron from themselves, as well as 5 lives away from Singularity. And now it starts becoming a little bit problematic. 6-2 and 6 for Mishigu on that Zeri. Third item is going to be coming through really shortly after this Baron. And we've seen this problem with X7 and Attila playing the Zeri, and then the opponent team not having the means to reach the Zeri, to slow her down, to CC lock her at the same place. It's just difficult to play against that champion. Again, Soft dives into the pit, he's gonna pop his ultimate, try to exit quickly the Dragon, but he's diving through 5 members of Singularity, and this is the problem right here. Singularity are gonna split up into 2. And as Mercer is trying to chase down that support, the exhaust is enough to keep Caracol alive, whilst the rest of MNM are taking control of the remainder of the members of Singularity.
Singularity split up, Mishigu is untouched, and Mishigu has an infinity edge. He is deadly strong
look at
right
that.
now. He is truly, truly a force to be reckoned. We've seen what Zeres can do, as you mentioned. Attila last week was really quite exceptional on the champion. Person has now run into a Viking, and that is probably not the best thing you can do. Has to back out.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, indeed. It's not in this game, but you know, the point still stands.
This man is everywhere.
He's in everyone's head. Baron was secured as well as a result of that play. No surprise there. And about 3 minutes until another attempt at Soul for M&M, and they're going to try and take as much control of the map as they can in the meantime.
And again, don't get us wrong, these are the 2 teams that are going to be getting relegated from the NLC. But the fact that we're talking that MNM could be in contention for playoffs, the fact that Singularity have picked up the second they changed that roster, added Scroody in the jungle, Merza in the middle, they have looked much better. They still have a chance to maybe turn this around if they can make a pick like they did. Oof, that W really did hurt Spiky right there, but if they can manage to somehow pick MNM apart again, if MNM overextends, they pull one of these dives in the late game towards the top lane tier 2 that has been haunting them the entire season. Singularity can break apart a dive, they could potentially come back in this game.
Troll, did you know that Zeri is actually part of an anime?
Is she gonna be in Arcane?
No, it's My Hero Academia.
Oh, right.
Because she's a plus Ultra Shock laser. Call her all, mate. See,
Yeah.
that was,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
very, I'm looking, you know, you look incredibly disappointed in me. She held it in just for a moment longer, but not anymore. I apologize for that one. I felt the need. We'll leave it at that, hey. All the while, Baron is fine.
It can't get worse than I hope Zoe wins.
Yeah, true enough. Either way, the kill count has certainly been very high this game. Baron definitely earns M&M a healthy lead thus far. And we've got ourselves a minute and a half until another Infernal Drake spawns. And M&M are going to look to go above and beyond and secure that one for themselves to acquire that Infernal Soul that eluded them the last fight around.
Now, usually when you have Baron, you use it as a sieging tool, potentially use it to 1 and 4, have somebody in the side lane pushing the tower while you're pressuring as a 4-man unit the rest of the map. But the problem with MNM right here is the second they split, they can get picked apart by Ash Arrow and Diana, who's very strong. So they need to stick together as a unit, which they're doing right now. They're using their numbers advantage to take control of the bot quadrant of Scroody's jungle, bleed in their vision, and make sure that when this dragon actually shows up in 1 minute time, they can actually very easily secure it.
Oof.
Spike is going to miss right there.
S&D, it's not the longest cooldown at this point, of course, with the way you build, but they're going to take this opportunity anyway. Scroody goes in. It's a decent moonfall. What about the turnaround camera? Has gone gold and knock him into Mishigu, but they can't follow up. Scroody dies again. He has always been the sacrificial lamb in this composition. Sips is drain tanking as best he can. Soft falls, but it's already the man advantage. Heals up as much as he can with that Ultra Shock laser coming through, though. It's not going to mean all that much, and Singularity run to the hills. Health bars blinking, and MNM will now be able to secure that prize to the Infernal Drake.
And MNM are just so tanky that Scroody did as much damage as I did in this team fight. 0, because I'm not in this game, and it seemed like neither was he in this team fight, because he gets a fantastic triple.
Oh, lordy lord, Mishigu. All Might becoming more and more appropriate as an acronym for this game, as maybe the fight can still continue. Sips and Mercer did come in and try and contend this one, but there's an exhaust, there's a gravity field. And it doesn't feel like there's all that much to run at this point. Another Death Ray comes out. And again, out of the jungle, Singularity are forced. They try to come back in, but there is nowhere to go. Mercer is crunched by the Gnar.
Yeah, and at this point, you must feel like MNM have solidified the victory for themselves. Soul is going to be theirs. It's going to be an Infernal, if anything, and Scroody maybe with the last stand right here, but he's going to face a Chimera.
Does get a decent moonfall again, but it's just not enough damage. Just doesn't have what he needs to do. They're going to get a quickness in, but it's all feeling just a touch disconnected. Caleb hops away, throws down the bone ring for the slows. Now Soft here with undertows to spare. Going to try and drag Singularity under. The Ragnarok comes through, and the end of the game is going to match up with the end of the days. It feels like there is no running away from the end of the world, Norse gods or not, and Vanir aren't even in this one.
Yeah, and look at triple lane push, a gigantic wave stacking on the top side of the map. Sofra here has to run for his
maybe just enough, though, as Mishigu comes in, and those Ultra Shock lasers continue to rain down hell from the heavens. Death Star wishes a double for the AD carry of MNM.
Yeah, and I think after this one, MNM will have the 2-0 head-to-head with Singularity, which means even if Singularity managed to tie them, Singularity is destined to get last in the NLC.
Another Ultra Shock laser claims most of the health bar of Scroody. Camera looking to follow that one up. Toying with their food. MNM about to move to 4 and 13 and set themselves upon a decent little win heading into relegations towards the post split. One more game to go, of course, but this is still a win that's a feel-good with their support being switched out.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think for MNM it must feel good knowing that you're going to relegations. We talked to Sof in a previous interview as well, and he said, you know what? We know that we're going to relegations, and we're actively working in getting better because we want to get back into the NLC. The Division 2 teams look extremely strong, so if you want to have a chance on getting back, you need to bring your A game, and of course, bringing your A game, you need to be beating the team that is last in the standings. Singularity did not make it easy, but MNM pulled through.
I think Mishigu went for the S+ game that time around. That Zeri was pretty disgusting and continues to prove why that champion is so damn high priority. Either way, enough from us for now. The desk will take it from here.
Thank you so much. And yet again, this is the MNM we've been waiting for. This is the composition. And we get to say Mishigu pop off like that. There you go. This is the team that the top teams were afraid of at the beginning of the split. Something happened throughout it. I don't know what happened, but it's good for them to end up on the higher note. They still have one game to go, but still, this is the MNM that Division 2 teams should be scared of, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, as Trouble was saying, this is the feel-good win, right? Because this is like, all right, we know we're going into relegations. At least we know we're not going in as the lower seed, which is definitely pretty important, I think, especially when you look at some of these Division 2 teams. Not having to face up against the strongest of them is always going to feel the better. But yeah, this is the kind of, MNM that we wanted to see consistently show up, right? Obviously, we're talking about SNG, who are the only team that are lower than them in the standings, technically, or the only weaker team than MNM. But still, I think the fact that they are still very much capable of putting out performances that look convincing, at least, that's the important part moving into relegations.
Let's talk about execution, how this game turned out, because obviously, I was listening to you on the green room, you're like, why are you fighting towards the Swain? Get away from the Swain. Explain to me that one.
I mean, if you look at the draft, I feel like Olaf has such an easy time. He's playing into Ashe, he's playing into Jace, he's playing into Diana, he's playing into Raka. None of these champions can do anything to Olaf. He has a Karma to back him up, a Zeri back there, pew, pew, pew. There's no issues. The only issue their comp in general, but just Olaf will have, is running into the Swain. And then they end up, they have a good lead, and they run into the top top tier 1, try to dive the Swain, end up getting completely aced, which was terrible. But I really love the draft from MNM here. I thought it was really good. As long as they keep the Swain separated from the rest of their team and play a 4v4, it's very hard to lose, I would say.
It's a clean win from MNM, and a specific person as well that allowed that to happen was playing on Zeddy, was Mishigu.
Yeah.
And we have him back again. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, my friend.
You got the win? You got the win. How are you feeling about this one?
It was a fun game. Got to play some Seri, right? Always a fun mechanical champion. I mean, yeah, the game in general was pretty chill because drafts was kind of easy to play. And yeah, I mean, they can't really get to me ever, so I can kind of do whatever I want.
So let's talk about this entire split, if we may, Mishigu. It seemed like MNM was a team that would be able to go to playoffs. Everybody was afraid of you guys. Something happened in the mist. Can you identify what happened?
Well, there's been a lot of personal issues from everyone, like IRL issues, which sucks, right? And I don't want to go into too many details because it's personal stuff, obviously, but I think that has affected everyone's focus a lot, and it just sucks that a lot of things has happened like in a short period of time that made it so like maybe 1 week I wasn't playing that well, and then next week someone else was having something. And I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the games we lost were really close, and maybe that extra bit of focus would have made the difference. But who knows? Maybe in another universe. I think all the players are good enough to be able to make playoffs, and I don't think our roster is bad at all on paper, but unfortunately it didn't work out, and sucks, right? It happens.
Yeah, issues like that, they're always really tough to go through. I'm sorry that sorry to hear that you guys are having those kind of issues, but I would like to ask, at least in the scope of this game, the big elephant in the room. What was it like playing with your head coach on the Rift?
It's really funny, actually. He's a complete psychopath, and I mean, I enjoy playing with him a lot. You know, he's a very funny guy, and obviously he should be able to carry the team macro-wise because he's a coach. So, you know, he can flame us for an entire split, and then if he joins the team and it's the same issues, then then it might be on him. But we won, so how 100% win rate. Maybe we will win every game with head coach. Maybe he's just the best player. Who knows?
It's a good point to bring in. Now we need to look into the bigger question as well. Yeah. You are facing relegations. Do you know of any team on Division 2? Are you worried about Division 2? Or are you guys so comfortable? It's like, we just need to solve our own issues and then we can take upon any team.
No, I don't think it will be a problem. My coach told me that he doesn't lose to Division 2 players, so...
Is he going to play as well?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, well, there you go, I think.
100% win rate so far.
I mean, if this game proves anything, the more coaches, the better. I mean,
the more coaches, the better.
You saw the draft popping off. You know they have a coach on the support, the coach on the draft as well, so, yeah.
Mishigu, any words?
Next split will be better. Throw back to last split.
I'm expecting that one. Always a pleasure to talk with you, Mishigu. Keep the hopes up, man. Keep playing, man. Never stop. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
There you go, man. I love this player, man. I just think there's something happening. He's never allowed to carry, you know? It's a complicated subject for MNM. I know you're thinking about something. Do you want to bring it up?
I mean, it's just one of those things, right? You don't really like hearing a player say, hey, we had a lot of issues going.
Yeah.
Especially when you have... You know, I think you phrased it properly. For the first time, we were actually expecting MNM to maybe actually threaten a playoff spot, right? Yeah. Which would be history as far as MNM are concerned for the NLC. So hearing them have those kind of issues, or hearing from Mishigu first and saying, hey, 1 week it would be this, then the next week it would be this, it does definitely suck to hear. But at the very least, Mishigu and the rest of MNM potentially seem to very much be in high spirits about walking into relegations. I think that's always going to be the important thing, right? Making sure the atmosphere is always still fairly positive. And I've got pretty high hopes, despite the strength of some of these higher end Division 2 teams, that they should be able to hold out, and we could or should be seeing them return.
And now we have a coach playing in with them.
Yep.
You've been there, obviously. And so what is the big advantage for the team bringing in the coach into the Rift?
I mean, it's the back row. It's the fact that your coach is able to tell you, we're going here, we're doing this. that's always what's, as a coach outside of the game, you're a nerve wrack. You're always like, oh, they could have done this better and this better, this better. Once you get into the game, even as a coach, I will say, even as a coach, once you get into the game, it's obviously not as easy as you make it out to be when you're on the outside. But that's definitely what we saw this game. Besides the top dive of the Swain, I was pretty happy with the macro that they displayed.
Did you ever think about when you were coaching to jump back into the Rift as a coach player?
Oh yeah, it's hard not to think about. Like once you're a player and then you go to a coaching
never
perspective,
goes away,
you
right?
always, every game, you're like, if I was playing, maybe I could have, you know? So it's always there. It's always there.
Let's talk with Singularity right now with Scroody, who is playing on the jungle. Welcome back. There you go. That's a big smile. How are you doing? Welcome back into the show. Obviously, it was not the end that you wanted for the MNM versus Singularity. It means now you're locked in as the last place. But still, what do you believe is your chances against the second division teams?
I think we should win it, but it is going to be a bit difficult knowing a lot of Div 2 teams were not as bad as people make them out to be.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the big one. Jungle buffs for AP champions. But everybody's looking into your Lilia. Everybody's removing the Lilia. What else can you bring?
Pick me whatever, coach. We've just been tunneling on Diana today, and we tried to play it. We thought we had the draft, but the Olaf pick was a bit too strong.
Hear me out, Scroody. What about Fiddlesticks? Have you thought about that?
I'm quite shit at the champ, so I have a hard time playing it.
Okay.
But I think if you're capable playing it, it's very strong.
Okay, there you go. If you deny vision, you're really strong with the Fiddlesticks. Looking to objectives this split, do you believe that you achieved what you were looking forward, or will you tell me at the end of relegations?
I think as a team, we've proved that we can win games, and that we're not as bad a team as people made it out to be in the beginning. And I think that's a success in itself.
It is. If you could bring one champion and play it for the last game of the split on Wednesday, which champion would it be?
Should I say that? Isn't it better to just pick it? But
if you want to keep it a secret, I'm fine with it.
I mean, we have been talking.
It's not Lee Sin, is it?
No. I'm never playing that champion.
That timing was, you know.
No.
No, tell me.
No, I can't say it because we haven't. Really
Let's keep it a secret. Let's keep it a secret, and then I'll see it on Wednesday. Am I going to be happy?
No, I don't think so.
Well, thank you for this one, Scroody. Best of luck on Wednesday, and I'll talk to you soon, I hope. Have a nice one.
Yeah, bye.
Keeping it a secret for the last game. Okay, keeping it spicy as well. It seems like Singularity is on a good road, at least. Players are happy. That's a lot. And they feel comfortable versus relegations. What do you take from Singularity at the end of the split versus the beginning of the split?
I mean, this game I just saw a bit of a draft diff. It's hard for me to know with the beginning of the split. I mean, we obviously saw an upward trajectory at the end here. I feel like they found themselves. This comp wasn't it, but the fact that they have found themselves should give them confidence going into it. Play around Scroody. That's been what's working. That's what they should keep doing now. No reason to change it.
And he's a star player, so might as well give him that space, give him those champions as well, right, Jamada?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a bit of a rarity that you have teams have a strong individual jungler. So I hope for their sake that they do continue to play around them a little bit more because, yeah, Scroody has shown us time and time again he can be somebody that they can rely on to be a carry.
Let's see if he's going to be able to carry this team throughout relegation. So let's look into the standings after this second game of the day, where MNM is now 4-13. Singularity 2-15. They're still looking for that third one that is going to put them at the same spot they were on Spring Split in terms of win-loss ratio. Now, next game is no other than Astralis versus Riddle, a team